Hey, man. Say, man. Hey, before we started, how about them Cowboys? Know what I'm talking about? But hey, man. We're coming to y'all with another episode of The Real Behind the Ring. You dig? We're going to be talking about a real tough situation and topic for most couples and married couples um, compromise. So we're going to come to you from 3 points, and I hope that y'all are blessed by it. But my wife is going to start it off. We're going to start off with being unequally or equally yoked. We're going to then talk about and segue into where we're going to live because we're both from two different states. So this is something that we're going to actually have to face pretty soon. Nah, man, Lone Star State. Nah. And then the last thing is going to be if you're making a wedding list or trying to have a wedding, how you'll have to compromise based on families. Yeah. So it's going to be some hot topics. We're going to try and keep it concise. But let's start with the being unequally or equally yoked. What's your take on that, baby?
All right. So I'm going to make it real simple. Being equally or unequally yoked is usually linked with the Bible because it's a biblical term. But in real life sense, it just basically means being on a different page than your spouse or the person that you're going to be with. Whether that is how many kids you all want, or how you guys see your future. How do you want to raise your children? How many children do you want to have? All of those topics are things that two people can definitely be unequally yoked in those areas. So I know for us, we had some conversations, very in-depth conversations prior to getting married about a lot of things. We talked about how many kids we wanted to have. We talked about what our life looked like. One of the things that I've always wanted is to be able to stay at home and raise my children. And it just so happened he wants his wife to be able to stay at home and raise their children. So that's another thing that we were equally yoked about. We both were equally yoked in our spirituality. We both loved the Lord. And just things of that nature. So I would definitely recommend, when it comes to choosing somebody to be in a relationship with, make sure you guys have those crucial, critical conversations where you ask the tough questions, and don't be afraid if the person that you're talking to has a different answer than you, because it gives you a chance to really see where you guys are at before you get into a marriage, and like what areas need to be worked on, because it's nothing worse than not figuring that out until you're already married and you're already committed in a relationship.
And just to segue in, not even to figure out if you can work on certain things, figure out if you even need to be with the person. You know, sometimes some things you can't compromise on. So if any of the things that we named, now this was our third conversation, we talked about all of this. Our first time with each other alone, we talked about these things because we said it's no point in us being together if she wants 4 kids and I want 2. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, it doesn't make any sense if we know that we can't compromise on it. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. So that's the short and sweet when it comes to being equally or unequally yoked. Just find you somebody who you are compatible with. I know they say opposites attract, and that is true in some instances, but there also has to be those similarities that are going to help you guys to be on the same page and on the same track in your relationship and in your marriage. So the next thing I guess we can talk about is where we want to live, because that is something that we are actually currently going through at the moment. We are trying to figure out where we're going to relocate and where we're going to live permanently, because we were both brought to South Carolina for work, and in my opinion, even more importantly, for each other, to meet each other and get married. But now we have to figure out, do we go back to Florida where my family is? Do we go back to Texas where his family is? Do we stay in Columbia where our jobs are right now? Or is God leading us into a totally different area that we're not even aware of yet? So you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, basically with that situation, you have to look at it like this. You know, I want y'all to look at it from our point of view, and maybe, you know, you're going through it so you understand, but I'm from Texas, love it. She's been there. It's all right to her. I've been to Florida. I don't really like it at all. It's I just don't. So, so you're stuck in a situation where you not only maybe not like the environments, but you're away from your family. So now when you have this conversation and you start to discuss things, you can get into a big argument because even though you don't mean this, it can come off as I want to be in Texas because I like my family. Your family not like this. My family like this. Mine, you're not saying yours is better, but it comes off that way. And then she or me or rebuttal and well, my family like this. I don't like the way your family does this. So whenever you get into those conversations about family because you love those people dearly, you gonna argue, you gonna go at it. And this is a situation where, like we said, we don't want to make everything about God, but God is, a big part of our lives, and this is where we give it to Him. Because at the end of the day, I could be the type of guy that says, "You gonna come with me to Texas," but then she's gonna be miserable. She could be the woman that's stubborn, angry. Oh well, I don't want to be with you if you don't want to come to Florida, and then I'm gonna be miserable because I'm gonna say I'm only doing this for you. So if we give it to God, we can't argue with God. You know what I mean? So we just had to come to that understanding that when He leads us and shows us, we're just gonna follow Him.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. And then I guess last but not least, we can go ahead and talk about weddings. So everybody who is dating, hopefully, you're dating with the purpose of getting married.
yeah.
And when you get married, you got to put together that long wedding list or short in some cases. And there's a lot of compromise that's going to take place when it comes to planning out a wedding. And I know for us, we had a lot of difficulties with this. It took us multiple times of rewriting our list, multiple arguments back and forth about who should come, who shouldn't come. We had people, giving us suggestions of who should be there, who shouldn't be there, and it got to the point where we had to make the best decision for us. With on my side of the family, it was my mom having concerns about, well, wanting her brothers and sisters to be there, my dad having his brothers and sisters there. And it's just when you have a limit on how many people you can have there, you can't please everybody. And we wanted to have a wedding where we could, invite both sides of the family, everybody in the family. However, that would run you $30,000+.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and just to comment on that, don't mean to interrupt, but, a lot of times you have to think, my wife and I want to have a beautiful wedding. We want it to be nice. We would love for everybody to be there. But we're not going to say we're going to go have our wedding at something that's very average, really not that nice, just in order to cut the budget to make sure everybody's there just to say they were there. Just to say, oh, we were a part of the wedding. Or on the opposite side, what a lot of people do is they have it beautiful, have everybody there, and then have a $30,000, $20,000 bill instead of going and putting that as a down payment on the house.
Right.
So you have to think about it from our point of view, and you're probably going through this right now. Like, man, stick to your guns. At the end of the day, family gonna love you. Family gonna be family. But don't ever let family come between something that God put together. Because, and I'm not saying that from the standpoint of turn your back on your family. Nah, she ain't gonna never turn her back on people. I ain't gonna never turn my back on my people. But we're gonna always be able to compromise because at the end of the day, they're not the ones that's going to be worried about the issues that you're having. They're not the ones, after they eat their food, they're not going to give you $1,000 to put back in your pocket.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? For the cost of it. So sometimes it might sound cruel, but you have to compromise and be happy in your household.
You got to put your household first.
Because you'll be miserable. Like at the end of the day, they're going to go on and live their lives and be happy. And oh, kinfolk this, kinfolk that, that was nice. And while you have that beautiful picture up there, you're going through pure hell in your household because you done spent too much money.
You took out a loan because you couldn't afford the wedding in the first place.
And then you both stubborn and mad at each other because now you got to deal with unnecessary things instead of just simply doing what you want.
Right. So that is our take on these three things. Of course, with compromise, there are so many other things that you guys will have to compromise in your relationships daily. But just a tidbit, just to let you guys know, when you get married or you're in a relationship, or even in your relationships with your friendships, people who you really care about, you have to be willing to die to yourself. And that may sound crazy, but it is what it is. Like, you have to kill those things about yourself that are selfish, or, you know, your pride, or just thinking about your interests, your agenda, your needs, your wants, your perspective, because you have to remember that we're two different people from two different upbringings. So we have two different perspectives, and we see things from two different lenses. And each person in that relationship has to be willing to kill off those things for the other person.
Yeah, and I'll say this before we let y'all go. Think about it in like with animals. If you take a lion and you take a grizzly bear, you know, it come from two different environments, two different situations, eat food differently. Everything's different about it, from the way it was raised to its diet. A lot of times in life when you get married, you have a bear and you have a lion. You have people that wash the dishes differently, that clean the room differently, that eat their food differently. You see what I'm saying? You might want your steak medium, she want hers well done. You know what I'm saying? It's totally different. But as long as you're able to compromise and compromise on things that are worth compromising, meaning things that don't make you go against your family, go against your morals, values, and most importantly, go against God. You know, if you got to do that, that's where you get into not compromising, but going against yourself and being in bad, toxic relationships. So I'm not Dr. Phil, but that's just what we've seen.
No, but that is a good point. If you are in a relationship where you're compromising, means that you are going against the core of who you are, your beliefs, your values, your morals. My suggestion would be stop compromising and start considering if that's really the person for you.
Exactly. And if you're always compromising, but they don't want to compromise, it's a no go. If I compromised all the time and she didn't, nah, man, I'm gone.
Ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere.
Hey, go. Nah. But in all seriousness, we hope that you guys got something out of this video. Amen. Say, man, we hope that y'all blessed. Go ahead and say it, baby. Since you always want to say it. Come on.
Amen. Say man. It's your girl S Jube.
It kills me every time.
And I do it just to annoy him.
It does. But y'all be blessed, man. We love y'all. Take care.